The mixed-use centre at Kew is actually a fascinating project because it's an amalgam of a whole series of different types of uses that are all put together. It's building on a parish site, a large parish property, which is attempting to mediate between the old parish buildings and the local commercial strip, and actually at the same time engage and get involvement across the spectrum. Oops, what happened there? I'm just pushing this button. Okay, I'm going to try that button. Aha, that was this button. Okay, sorry. Coterie of bluestone buildings on the site from 1863 to 1913, all in a reasonably poor state of repair, and needing continual maintenance, continual work on them, but also quite separated from the street. Here's High Street, the church, vicarage, and the halls here. So not terribly well disposed between each other, but with an interesting site. I suppose that the client came to us with this agenda of doing a whole lot of things in the one building. They wanted to get a parish centre that was much closer to the church, so they could actually get across to there easily, not lose people. They wanted to create a model that could create income to support the site, to support all these old bluestone slate-roofed buildings. They wanted to maintain access to the green field in the middle, which has been had access by the public for some time. Wanted to engage with sustainability, activate the streetscape, all sorts of things were on the agenda. In terms of the actual functions, community spaces holding large weddings and funerals, and commercial and residential and health services as tenants, also offices and a children's centre. So we're pretty much covering a large spectrum of possible types, actually all within one building, which I think makes it a really interesting type in our sort of city. You don't often see this sort of mix in the one building. It's just a 4-storey building. So we've got that institutional, commercial and residential as the primary types.
And they're equally weighting of uses as well. But formally, the mixed-use centre is stitched into its context with dialogue across the various faces and at multiple levels. This glass tower is the signifier in the street, which connects both with the street and resonates with the historic tower of the 19th century church. The stair threads its way up the shaft and is woven together with the thread. We have constantly building together a nuanced interlay of use and form, public and private, child centre, apartments and civic space of the green. The foyer with views out, this is at a church level, 3 metres above the street, or 3.5 metres above the street, views to the church and the village green behind. Personal and civic overlaid, church green, seminar spaces and offices, and children's play, private courtyard. Seminar space with a large 200 square metre hall, divisible. Past and present, work and recreational, apartments, the street facade and commercial tenancies, hall, private courtyard.
Yeah, that's a shame. Cafe into that patisserie there.
Yeah, and again, offices, the patisserie and the hall. Very much cradle to grave thinking and environmental sustainability at its core, cross ventilation, light shafts, green spaces, solar power and water reticulation, and material selection that has a view for longevity as well as connecting and into the aesthetic and formally within the context. The square and civic spaces at lower level, cutting in at street for the tenancies and the offices, and then up a civic space and into the church and green beyond. this is the view through the podium to the green beyond.
So we're really fortunate in many respects on the site. It has like about 2.5, 3 metre fall between the church and the streetscape, which is, I suppose, one reason why it's been difficult for the community to actually engage much with the street, but it gave us the opportunity of a commercial lower level which integrated with the streetscape, with the health centre, patisserie and offices at that level, and also the terrace that Jackie was just showing there. At the level above, which is the same level as the church, halls, public halls divisible by 2, seminar centre which flows off that, and children's zone with an outdoor play in that courtyard there. The levels above are some apartments, a couple of mezzanine arrangements, and you can see it defines, it completes the fourth side of the green, and at the same time we've actually endorsed the courtyard, which was an important part of the experience of the church, and how the church is actually used through that main primary entry through the tower. We've created another tower here as a dialogue between the two. We've also worked hard on scalloping or faceting back the structure, so we maintained aspect of the church, aspect of the tower. The historic oaks were of great interest to the town planners, and maintaining that sort of understanding and that respect was important. Here you can see there's a topography of the building. It's not just a straight cube, it's actually quite a complex form that actually responds on all its facades to the demands that are actually being thrown at it. And particularly you can see the faceted arrangement around the facade, the high street, and also the colonnade along the green. This is the streetscape, and it's a fairly, just before we started, a fairly bland sort of bare structure, which we were working from with a sort of vacant lawn just here. This is the expression of the faceted facade from the design, trying to demonstrate to the town planners that that was actually how we could get the aspect. The expression of the stair was critical in actually conveying, underlining, underpinning this notion about use and about multiplicity of use and about access to everybody to the site. The terrace spaces and engaging with the oak trees, which was provided quite a beautiful texture. And this is the green. Once upon a time had some cars parking in there, irregular trees, and just a really uncared for space. And then the vision was of encompassing all this and closing it off and creating almost like a collegiate square with the opportunity of community engagement. And just a couple of last slides showing the green and how it's engaged with the building and how the new building actually orders the space. Thank you.